different this week after a loss? Have you practiced differently?
No, the loss really hadn't changed things on practices, emphasis, and things like that that we were exposed in the second half of Mizzou. Yes, but guys have been in finals, so a lot of the attention and emphasis this week's been finishing up academically. This has been a very difficult week for them, and we still got guys with finals today and even into tomorrow. So finals week's always a difficult week for them, and that's what the focus has been. And then when we've had them in here, we've just tried to do the things that we're trying to emphasize to get better on.
What will be explained? What will exposed?
Well, board play, which we knew was an issue even with being a +9 most of the year. That's an issue, and that's something that we got to continue to emphasize, continue to work on. And then I think the second half, offensively, it's the first time we got away from executing an offense, and we didn't take the shots that normally we've been taking. I thought we took some really tough shots in the second half, and we've really talked about that. We've got to stay within the system of knowing our spacing and what kind of shot we want to take. Doesn't mean we slow down. It just means our thought process of what kind of shot we want to take.
Do you think that Missouri game is kind of an eye-opener, especially for your young guys facing off against kind of an athletic team that's going to develop that way?
Yeah, it's really the first team we've played that had big guards. That's the first time our guards have been able to be matched with athleticism and physicality. They start 6'5", 6'5", 6'5", and we haven't played against that yet. So, I thought the first half we did a tremendous job of doing what we needed to do, what was set up to do, and then they made a run, and it was really the first time all year, especially being a road game, where we've had to play from behind, and I didn't think we handled that well. And we're going to be behind again. We're not going to lead all games. So hopefully as we go through the season, we'll learn from that experience that just because you're up 10 and now you go down 2 or 4 doesn't mean the game's over. We got to continue to do the things that we normally do, and I thought once we got behind at Mizzou, we got out of character, and we've got to learn from that.
How in particular did you notice things getting out of character, especially when...
How what?
How in particular did you see the team kind of fall out of character when you were down a little bit?
I'm still... How in particular?
You said that the team was a little bit out of character once.
Yeah, our shot selection and the way we defended and the way we rebounded. It was even at halftime. We got out-rebounded 16 in the second half. That's out of character. We haven't been rebounded 16 in one half all year long, so we knew at the beginning of the season that was going to have to be a concern. We've been able to correct a lot of that, and the guys have done a really good job up until then. But and if we'd have ended that game even on the backboard, I think there could have been a different outcome. But getting beat 16 in one half, you're not going to win a lot of games.
What does the team need to do to get better on the boards?
Well, rebounding is a lot about effort, and rebound's a lot about being in the right position, whether we're in man defense or zone defense, knowing the angles that you go after the board. 80% of them go the other way. Little things of seeing where the ball's going and reacting to it and rebounding out of your area. We can't be a team that's just going to rebound in your own area. You got to go out of your area, and it's not just bigs, it's not just guards. We got to be a team because of our length and our size. We've got to be able to have 5 guys rebounding. And I think too many times we may have 1 or 2 guys going to the glass defensively, and until we really get things shore up on the glass, we've got to have all 5 guys going to the board.
How do you get the team ready to play when first you play Missouri, a tough team on the road, then you've got Prairie View, which shouldn't be a very tough team. One,
we respect all of our opponents, regardless of record, regardless of name or high profile, low profile. If you don't, then you're going to set yourself up for losing games. So, we haven't mentioned much about Prairie View at all this week. Our focus has been these guys finishing their grades and their classes, and then our focus of looking at the Mizzou game and taking things out of that game to try to get better. We're going to have 4 practices. We had one Monday and another one Tuesday, one today, and one Friday. So we'll have 4 practices leading into that. They'll obviously be prepared for Prairie View, but it's more about us going into this game, getting back to doing the things that we need to do. If we do the things we're supposed to do, then that game takes care of itself. But we don't really talk about or really get into opponents as much as we do what do our opponents do, what do we have to be prepared for, and then making sure our identity of doing what we do well stays the same.
But you were a kid and a player, and it wouldn't be hard to not think about Missouri and Duke at Madison Square Garden and kind of forget about Prairie View.
Well, I played for Coach Knight, so there was never a time in my 4-year career where I thought one game ahead. It was always on the task at hand.
I know you said that Travis isn't necessarily 100%, but how much more does this offense?
I think he is now.
You say he is?
Yeah, I think Trav is now. I don't know when that was. I think health-wise he's 100%. I think getting into the flow of things. When you miss 3 weeks in college basketball, it's not easy. And so, we're trying to get him back in the flow, practicing him more and more, practicing him a little bit longer, because I think he's a key. I think he's somebody that can, one, score for us. He's got to be able to rebound for us. We need rebounding help. So some of those bigs have to step up what they're doing rebounding, but then, our guards are going to have to, I think all of our guards, we got big guards. We got guards that go after the basketball. We should have guards getting 3 to 6 rebounds a game. So it's not one person. It's not a group of guys. It's a backboard is going to be an entire season of our guys understanding how important it is, because defensively we've done some pretty good things, and I thought we did some good things against Mizzou defensively, but when you give up as many offensive rebounds as we did, that always leads to fouls, layups, or wide open threes, and that was the case again in the Mizzou game.
Is there anything specifically that's kind of hampered David and Travis over the last few games? They've been a little quieter offensively.
No, I guess you'd have to ask them. Nothing that, I think it's something about just getting in the flow and running the floor. I think they're really good at running the floor, getting those loose baskets. They've got to play to their strengths, and their strengths are being able to pick and pop out on the floor, and they can get rebounds, and they can really run the floor. They outrun most of the guys they're going to play against. And, they haven't played a lot together because Trav's been out, and I think you'll see them doing that a little bit more.
Everybody else healthy?
Yes, we're pretty healthy. Yeah, physically, we gotta wait to see finals are over to see how mentally healthy we are. But yeah, physically we seem to be pretty healthy.
And how's Juana Bale coming along?
He's been good. Again, we talk about Trav being out of college basketball for 3 weeks. Juana's been out of college basketball for about close to 2 years, a year and 3 quarters. He's been without playing at this, especially at this level. So we gotta be patient there as well. I think. He's an athletic kid that can do a lot of things for us, but he's really overthinking because he's trying to do what's right. He's trying to learn the system as quickly as he can, where a lot of these guys have been doing it since June. He hasn't had that, and so we know his best basketball is ahead of him, and he's working very hard to get there as quickly as he can.